Well, if you got a dollar, well, just lousy down. You know that I got rhythm that could suit your budget fine.
Hello, everybody. It is Patrick with Trusty THMercantile with the Huckster Helper. We are here traveling together on a little mini vacation. And what happens when Katie, one of my best friends through YouTube, issues a challenge for Halloween while I'm scheduled to have a vacation and business trips? I bring the challenge with me. So we are here. Trusty, the Huckster Helper, and I are going to create our hashtag Halloween Ephemera Bowl. So we have created the ephemera. We're going to be creating the ephemera bowl. This is the precursor to it. So we have the bowl, very Halloweeny, very tarnished. Nate from Soul Nate is having apoplexy because he wants to polish it. But this is what we feel is going to look great for the theme. We are also adding, it is an ephemera bowl challenge. We've created a theme for the ephemera bowl, and the theme is Jekyll and Hyde. So we've got some great ephemera. We've got a vintage bowl, which was the requirement of the challenge, and then we have non-vintage ephemera, but that was allowed. Katie said it was okay. So if she says it's okay, we say it's okay. So we've got some ephemera we're going to put in the bowl. We've got a couple other little things that I have. Jekyll and Hyde has a special place for me. There is a musical version, believe it or not, if you are not a theater person, there is actually a musical rendition of it from Frank Wildhorn called Jekyll and Hyde. It's one of my favorite musicals, and I actually was able to participate in a community theater production, primarily handling the props. So some props might show up in this little bowl, and I might show you some pictures from some of what I did. I did props and I did the set decoration. So this was the intro. We're going to try and piece together. We might throw some video as we go. We'll see. It depends. We don't have the best setup for audio and for video while we're traveling, so we're just going to have to make do. But we definitely wanted to participate in the challenge. So stay tuned and we'll see what we come up with. Okay, so we are in mid-process of trying to put some of the things together, and what we've started doing is cutting out all of the individual Jekyll and Hyde ephemera pieces that we found. Thought it'd be a good time to stop, and I started asking Amelia while we were doing the basket what her experience has been. So this is a cover, pretty cool cover, from the book. So the book is the Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. And I really didn't know what kind of exposure Amelia had. So why don't you say a little bit, what was your knowledge of this?
Yeah, so I grew up with Trusty, and a lot of what we did on road trips was listen to musical soundtracks. We are a theatrical family for sure. And so I definitely remember growing up listening to the Broadway soundtrack, and I think there's also a London version.
Yeah, so this is actually the one that I like the best. This was its pre-Broadway trial. And there is a little bit of history to this. My very first job, I traveled to Houston as part of my job, and Jekyll and Hyde did its off-Broadway or out-of-town tryouts at the Alley Theater. I didn't get to see it at the Alley Theater, but I saw the next show, and they had the cast recording and still being sold in the box office. I'm like, oh my God, there's a musical for Jekyll and Hyde? I've got to hear this. It is one of my favorite cast recordings. It is one of my favorite Jekylls. There's been many versions of it. I did go to Broadway. So the Broadway, Jekyll and Hyde, the musical, it did go to Broadway. It has been revised on Broadway with, now I can't think of his name. He won American Idol. I want to say Michael Corleone, but that's not it. Like Coriolanus, no, it's Shakespeare. He had really long hair. Anyway, it closed. It did not do well. A lot of people make fun of the musical. It's kind of a pop opera musical, pop rock, opera. There's just a lot of belting, but there's just some amazing songs within it. So the musical version is something that's available in community theater. And as I mentioned in the intro, I actually was involved with the Stagecoach theater production of Jekyll and Hyde. And this is how they created this was the playbill for our theater production. So they created all of the bios in the back were listed as obituaries because there's a lot of death. Like, it's a musical, but people still die. But they die in a very theatrical way. So there's nothing wrong with that. So again, I did the props. I did the set dressing. And I will drop in a couple of the photos when I create the video. I will drop in some of the images of the sets that I've done. And like I said, a couple of the props I will actually have in the finished product. So what we're pulling together is primarily an ephemera bowl with some of the ephemera, somewhat from the book, some are from the play. You know, there's a stage version, there are movie versions, there are evidently multiple versions, including, what was the last one we just looked up? 2017. I'd never heard of this one, and they had two different actors, one playing Dr. Jekyll and one playing Mr. Hyde, which, as Amelia said, kind of seems to defeat the purpose of a movie about duality of man, but whatever. It's still a fun theme. Halloween is, we did a lot for Halloween as you were growing up. You know, you were very big into dressing up for Halloween, and we did parties, and we went to parties. And I guess we decorated the house.
We never really went hard into spooky, though. We always made it into a theatrical experience.
Yeah.
We do costumes based on theater characters.
History.
I went as John Adams when I was 6, but I went as John Adams from the musical 1776
Absolutely.
with my little cane.
Yep, first musical she ever saw, 1776. She also went, we did a family, we won an award as a family.
Yeah.
You went as
Dolly
Madison, and her mom went as like a scullery maid, and I went as one of the soldiers. And I was carrying a sign that was like "Burn down the White House" or something like that. Like I'd probably be arrested for it now. But the whole idea, and you were as Dolly Madison, you were carrying. What did little top quiz? What did Dolly Madison save from the White House before it burned down? That's what she carried. So you carried the bird.
Yeah,
I remember we had a bird cage that had a parrot.
Yep.
It had. Oh, you saved the. Stuart portrait of Washington.
That's the big one. Yeah.
So we had a rolled up portrait of Washington. She saved there's like when they write the stories about it, the one thing Dolly Madison saved was the drapes. So I think we took some random fabric and like tucked it in the bottom of the bird cage. And I want to say maybe there was something else, but it was one of those when people saw us, they're like, "What are you?" But the minute we explained it and explained what was in the birdcage, we were winning awards all over the place. So it was, so we did have fun with Halloween.
Yeah.
But we never really got into spookiness. We didn't really heavily decorate, and certainly not in the spooky way. So the Ephemera Bowl challenge, I really started out going, okay, Katie, this is a great idea, and I want to support your very first challenge ever, but my Ephemera Bowl will be empty. I'm going to need to draw a picture of a pumpkin, and that's it. So this theme seemed to fit a little bit better. And it was literally something that, I'm not kidding, this was at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm printing off all of the images that I could find on the internet, totally stealing copyright to do these printouts so we can make this bowl. So that's kind of where we're at now. The pictures are printed out. We're trying to figure out how to fit them into the bowl. We'll give you a little sneak peek. That's it. And we will be back in a little bit to show you the finished product. And it is complete. We have the hashtag Halloween Ephemera Bowl. So this goes out to Katie for her challenge. If you're not following Katie on Vintage and Vinyl, please go ahead and do so. This is her first challenge ever, and there will be a playlist which I will, okay, this is, there is a playlist which I will put in the description of this video, which will show all of the other videos which are created also for the hashtag Halloween Ephemera Bowl challenge. Now, from a true Katie Ephemera Bowl, we cheated a little bit. You know, we're ephemera on the fly. We printed a bunch of things out. I did have a few, real, quote unquote, real pieces of ephemera. This is, again, the program from the Stagecoach Players edition of production that I was a part of. So that is the playbill. So that's actually kind of laying. It just didn't quite end up in the bowl. So you have to give us a little bit of flexibility. As I mentioned, there were some props from the show. This is the doll that I created for the opening of the show. It was on stage for a grand total of about 2 minutes. I had way too much fun creating it. I will see if I can find the before and after pictures and drop those in. But it started as a very traditional, 80s, 90s porcelain doll with a pretty little gingham dress, and I just hacked her to pieces. I literally ripped off her arm or leg. I cut out most of her hair. I set fire to her. I put ink and spilled things on her. I think there might be barbecue sauce on there. Just trying to make the most bizarre doll possible. And it was the prop everyone wanted to take home at the end of the production. So we got that. She's leaning in a little apothecary jar. The apothecary jar was actually a gift given by the director of that production of Jekyll and Hyde. She gave that to the creative team, so I have that, and I filled it with the feathers and the marbles and some of the parchment that we used to fill the rest of the bowl. So the bowls, again, we showed you the base, the vintage bowl, the silver plate berry bowl. We ended up not using the handle as much as we thought because we ended up using skewers to tape, and it was just a little bit easier to manipulate. We were trying to put things in front of the handle, behind the handle, and it kind of, to be honestly, just got in the way. So it's been pushed to the back, and so all of this is being held into this curvature just by a series of barbecue skewers. So shish kebab ephemera bowl, and these are all just, this is the CD cover for the cast recording that I like the most. A lot of these are just images that I pulled off the internet. If you're the original artist, I'm sorry, tell me, I'll give you credit in the description of the video. But in general, they're just things that were out there on the internet, all representing Jekyll and Hyde, from the book to the movie to the musical. So had a little bit of fun with that, threw a little notebook. This also was a prop. I don't think I had it as a prop in Jekyll and Hyde, but it's a prop that I use in a lot of books. It's just a little, brown, covered journal. And in the middle is a little figurine, which you'll probably not be able to see. I'll try and I'll shove some still shots in there. But the little figurine was also a gift from the from the director of Jekyll and Hyde. Again, a gift for being on the creative team. And it's a little porcelain figurine. I want to say it's from Department 56, and it's a little figure of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So he's kind of getting lost in the feathers there. So we'll try and do a couple close-ups. I'll throw some close-up shots into the video so you can see it a little bit better. But hopefully this gives representation. It was a great afternoon project. Been a very long time since I did a craft project with the Huckster Heckler. Been a very long time since I've been seeing the Huckster Heckler. So I really enjoyed doing this with my daughter. Glad I was able to do all of this. And unfortunately, will not live to see the light of day of Halloween because I'm not in this hotel for that long. So I will have pictures of it. We will all remember it fondly. But I'm glad that I was able to participate in Katie's first challenge, the hashtag Halloween Ephemera Bowl. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you participated in the challenge too. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks for putting your trust in the trusty Huckster. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, show me a sign if you're wishing me to stay. Otherwise, I say goodbye, finish out the day. And that sunrise in the morning and you got nothing to say. Oh, that's when I'll be headed on my